Welcome, tennis fans, to the 33rd episode of Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, IBJ, and in today's episode, I'll be breaking down the Monte Carlo Open draw and briefly summarizing the past week events. And before I start, I still want to make an announcement in case you guys still don't know that I basically released my newsletter and it's available for subscription by clicking the link in the show notes. It's basically on Substack. If you have a Substack, feel free to just subscribe to me there, but you don't have to register for an account at all. Just put your email in and you'll be on my mailing list. The email will basically contain some sort of a sneak peek into the episode on Monday, and I promise I won't flood your inbox. It's just going to be one letter a week. And it's going to be sent to you Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, this varies depending on your time zone, but because I'm in New York, so it's 4 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, promise you guys won't regret it. Because, for example, for this week, I'm talking about Monte Carlo, and I have the draw the draw analysis all written out. So I'll leave a link to this PDF in the newsletter, so if you guys subscribed, you will see the whole draw and see what I'm talking about, because obviously I can't, because there's like a lot of stuff and I can't cover it all in like half an hour, so I have everything linked if you guys just want to go and subscribe, and you'll be able to see all that I didn't talk about. And it's also another way for me to connect to you guys if you guys subscribe to me on It's on Substack, because you guys can just DM me there and I'll respond, and sometimes I'll even post some of my ideas, but no promises, because the only promise is the newsletter, because I'm really busy with schoolworks. The AP exam is coming up, so I was studying for that, and oh my gosh, this is something I just thought about, the earthquake yesterday, well, on Friday. It was insane. It was really funny. I was doing archery and the whole ground just started shaking. But anyways, just a lot of stuff is happening around the world. Monday there's gonna be a solar eclipse, and a lot of stuff is also happening in the tennis world. So yeah, okay. Please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, if you haven't already, using @TennisTraverse. And if you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. It really helps a lot. And yeah, let's just get right into today's episode. So the first thing I want to address is the Miami Open, because I only talked about the WTA finals, but I forgot to talk, well, I didn't forget, sorry, but it happened on Sunday, so I didn't have time to record it, but my prediction was right. Even though I really wanted Grigor to win, he lost to Jannik Sinner in 2 straight sets with a score of 6-3, 6-1. And just as I predicted, I think Grigor was just tired after playing so many close matches. That's like 2-3 sets, whereas Sinner only played 1 throughout this whole tournament. So I think that definitely played a role. And Sinner winning meant that he became the new world number 2, which I think I'm also really happy for him, because he just seems like a really good and nice person. So really happy that he gets what he deserves. Okay. Like in a good way, you know? Okay, now we'll talk about Charleston. So this is a WTA 500 event that happened like this past week. And I'm not going to summarize it really specifically, because this week the main focus is going to be on Monte Carlo, but I just want to point something out. So Sakkari is having 3 deep runs in a row, which for her is like crazy. As I said before, I think part of it was because she changed up her coach, and there's obviously Djokovic, who also changed up her coach, that I will be talking about later. And she had a really deep run in Indian Wells, where she made it to the final. She had a deep run in Miami. She made it to the quarterfinals, and she is playing a semifinal today after the semifinal that's going on right now, which is Jessica Pegula versus Daria Gazakina. So obviously I'm not going to make my predictions because the final will be on Sunday, which is tomorrow. So I'm not going to make my predictions, but I think all of these people are really deserving to be in the semifinals. As I said, Zachary, she has been doing really well, and I'm just really happy that her coaching change seemed to be strengthening her mentality. Danielle Collins, she just can't lose. Like, she played so well in Miami. She's continued to play really well here. Sakina too. I think Sakina's been playing really well, and I really look forward to how she plays. And Pegula, obviously, I feel like she hasn't been finding her form this year because in Miami, even though in Miami she made it to the quarterfinals, but she hasn't been doing that well. In Australia, she only made it to the second round. And in Indian Wells, she lost in the second round as well. She had a bye in the first round, and she lost to Blinkova in 3 sets in Indian Wells. So this year hasn't been the best, but in Miami, she made it to the quarterfinals, and in Charleston, she is making it to the semifinals, and she might make it to the finals or even win. So I think really happy that all 4 of them are doing really well. Also, I left a link to some of the matches that I found were entertaining. If you guys want to just go check them out, I left a link for Jessica Pegula versus Victoria Azarenka because there was like 8 match points split between them, and finally Pegula managed to clinch the win, I'm pretty sure. And then Danielle Collins and Ons Jabbar, I also left a link for that. I'm like really kind of sad for Ons because I feel like she really wants to perform well, but at this moment I feel like her level and her body just doesn't allow to her to. So please go check both of these matches out. I think it's definitely worth spending some of your time to look at the highlights. Okay, we'll now move on to the Estoril Open. So this is a 250 event for basically the ATP side, and man, there's a lot to talk about, but I'm just gonna focus on one match, which is Garin versus Nuno Borges. So I think if you're active on Twitter or in tennis, you'll probably know what happened because every player and basically everyone who's involved is reacting to it. So I just figured why not give my own input. Let me just summarize the situation if you guys didn't know what happened. So Garin was playing a quarterfinal match against Nuno Borges, and they were hitting the balls, and an audience member, I'm pretty sure, called one of the ball Garin hit out, and because of that, Nuno Borges stopped playing. And Garin just, I feel like, wanted to win that point. So he came up and played like a easy point, an approach shot, but he missed it. So he then complained to the chair umpire that because Nuno Borges stopped playing, so it should be rewarded to him. And the umpire, I think somehow he like forgot what the score was or whatever, and he just didn't allow a replay or whatever. Like he was like, okay, it's Garin's point. And several points I want to make here. The first is the umpire. What is he doing? Like, isn't your job to monitor the players and to know the point and keep track of the points and know what to do in these situations? The second point is I feel like this is indeed, I don't want to say bad sportsmanship, but I think he could have offered, for Garin, he could have offered to replay the points, but at the same time, I sort of understand him because it's basically your job, it's a competitive game, and you want to win every point, so I don't think we should place the blame on Garin. I think more of it, we should place the blame on the umpire just because of how he handled the whole situation. Like, in no way was that a point to Garin. It should have been a replay or whatever, but not him winning a point. That's no. Okay, this third point, the last point I want to make is VAR, because we really needed a video replay of that, because we want to see, is it the audience who called the ball out, or like just entirely what happened? Did Borges stop playing, or like what happened? Because we don't have that, and I think it's essential for the umpire to make their own decision. I'm not saying that without it the umpire can't make a decision, but I think it'll definitely help him a lot because he struggles to make the right decision. And I don't want to say it's just because of, I think I don't want to take any blame off of him, but I think not having a reference point definitely played a part in this. So I just want to point that out. And because of this, Garin won, but he lost in the semifinal today against Hubert Hurkacz in 3 sets. He played well in the second, I think. And then Hubert just completely dominated in the 3rd set and won. Okay. We'll talk about the other semifinal match. It's going on actually right now, which is Casper Ruud versus Pedro Martinez. So Pedro Martinez is basically a clay specialist, which, I mean, you can say Casper also is. I don't know. It's like Casper's also doing really well on clay, but he's like been doing really well all this season. But they're playing a match right now. Martinez won the first set 6-4. Casper won the second 6-4. And then I came back from tennis and I saw that they were like in 1-all, and I started planning this episode. And when I was recording, like when I finished planning, I saw that Casper was down 1-5. And I was like, what is happening? Because I honestly feel like with the level Casper's been playing right now, he's just super steady and he's been competing really well at a high level constantly, so I didn't expect him to go down. But now he's like catching up. He's 4-5, still down a break, and it's basically the 3rd time or the 2nd time Pedro's chance to just serve it out, but I don't know if he's gonna do it. I'll probably know the result by the time this episode comes out, but just so you know, the final is either gonna be Hubert Hurkacz versus Casper Ruud or Hubert Hurkacz versus Pedro Martinez. So I left a link to the quarterfinals if you guys want to go check it out. And for the thing I talked about, which is the Garin and the Nuno Borges thing, I don't have like a specific link, but I'm pretty sure if you go on whatever, a news website or just Twitter, you'll probably figure out what I'm saying, because it's literally everywhere. Just search up Estoril Open and you'll find it, because it's literally everyone's talking about it. All the players are complaining how basically the game was so unfair for Borges, because he should have the point should have been awarded to Garin. It should, in my opinion, should be a replay, but yeah. Okay. We'll move on to the Monte Carlo draw. As I said before, if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will get basically the whole thing, the whole draw. I downloaded the ATP PDF they have on their website and I filled it out. So if you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get this basically on Sunday, so you'll follow it when I'm talking. So if you have it, please pull that out right now. If you don't, it's okay, but please just subscribe and you'll get it. So this tournament happens in Monte Carlo, Monaco, and it is an ATP Masters 1000 tournament, and the surface is red clay. This is the first the first Masters that's happened in the clay swing, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm all over the place. My thoughts is really scatterbrained, but it's okay. So if you follow this, you'll see that I have the key on your right hand side. I'm looking at it myself as well. Firstly, I want to talk about some good matchups, and as you can see, I broke it down into 2 sections. So the first section is with Novak leading and Casper Ruud on the bottom. So this is the first section, and the reason I want to talk about this section is because this section, in my opinion, is more competitive than the other one, because Alcaraz, after losing in Miami, he's the 3rd seed now, and Sinner is the 2nd. So Alcaraz and Djokovic is in one section, so that's basically they're in the top half. And yeah, I think it's just more competitive, and I think I will talk about some good matchups first. The first one I will talk about is Arthur Fils versus Adrian Mannarino. I want to talk about this because Fils, I feel like his playing style really suits the clay court. So I think also Mannarino's style of playing, with how he's just so interesting, how he hits with such a low tension. And just the way he plays. I think if you watch how he plays, you'll know what I'm saying. But I think it's going to be a really good clash between these two. And this is round 1. So or sure that this matchup is going to happen. The other matchup I want to talk about is Lorenzo Musetti versus Taylor Fritz. And this is also a good matchup because I think Musetti is really, really talented on clay. In general, he is a talented player, but on clay, he's just really, really talented. And I think him playing against Taylor Fritz, who, I mean, he did have a great, I mean, it's a good run in Indian Wells, I guess, but I think it might be an upset. I put it as an upset in my draw because I feel like Musetti, after becoming a father, he's been finding his form a lot, so I think it will be an upset. And then we have Alex de Minaur versus Stan Wawrinka. This is going to be insane because Wawrinka had a wild card. I don't think it's going to be much a struggle for Alex, but I think just the name Wawrinka itself in the draw and how he plays his backhand and everything, just I think he immediately wants to focus on this match. So yeah. And I mean, we can't talk about Djokovic because I think we should talk about him. So in this past week, he basically part ways with his coach, and I think he just said that, well, his quote was, "I got a little bit tired of him, he got a little bit tired of me." It wasn't a fight, we just figured to sort of like change things up a bit and stop working. And I think Novak, because he's been so experienced and he's been on a tour for so long, I think he knows what he wants. Like, I'm pretty sure he's able to make the decision himself. So like, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, but I'm really eager to see how it plays out in Monte Carlo because it's a huge tournament, and Novak playing in it, I think without a clear direction of a coach, I think it's just going to be an interesting tournament for him. Okay, so my quarterfinal predictions. The first one in this top half is Djokovic versus Rublev. So Rublev, obviously, he hasn't been doing that well, but regardless, I think in clay, I feel like he's going to be able to find his form. Alcaraz versus Ruud. Alcaraz, I think he's had tremendous success on hardcore where he won US Open. He had tremendous success on grass court where he won Wimbledon. So I think it's time for him to have a really deep winning streak on clay courts. So I think this might be the one. And then Casper Ruud, I just checked the score and he lost, but he's been competing at a high level constantly. So let me just sum up Casper Ruud's season for you guys. So Casper, he's played a lot of tournaments this year. He played a lot of 250s, but in Australia he made it to the third round, which is a round deeper than last year. Los Cabos, he made it to the final, and then he made another final in Mexico, in the Mexican Open, and then in Indian Wells he made it to the quarterfinals. In Miami he didn't go that far, he made it to the round of 16, and then in Estoril he made it to the semifinals even though he lost. So I think Monte Carlo might be a tournament for him to finally find his form again. So I think Djokovic and Alcaraz is going to meet in the semifinals, and for this quarter I have Alcaraz coming out of the quarter because Djokovic, obviously, I feel like he disappointed all of us. I think part of it is just because our expectations of him for everything, in my opinion, is just too high. So I think, what can I say? I think Alcaraz is gonna come out. I mean, we do have a lot of expectations on Alcaraz too, but like, he has lived up to our expectations. I would say he won Indian Wells, which is, in my opinion, a good showing of how far he's going. And in Miami, even though he lost to Grigor, I think Grigor was just playing insanely well. Like, it wasn't that Alcaraz level sort of dropped. It was just Grigor was, like, literally so good. So, yeah. Okay. The bottom half, I mean, there is still some competitive players, and actually my champion comes from this bottom half, but I just feel like, I don't know, I think it's just there's not as many good first round matchups, but this not quarter. This bottom half is led by Alexander Zverev, the fifth seed. What am I? The fifth seed, and Jannik Sinner, the second seed. Okay, so I mean Zverev, I have him going far, but I want to talk about some matchups first. So the matchup I want to talk about is going to be Gael Monfils versus Jordan Thompson. So Thompson, I think I said this so many times, he had an incredible run in Los Cabos where he like basically in short beat all of the top seeds. And then he also won the doubles, and he also won the singles. So in his run, okay, he beat Casper Ruud, Alexander Zverev, and Alex Michelsen. And then in the doubles, he also won. So he was just like, everyone was like, wait, I think we all underestimated him. But then after that, I don't think he lived up to our expectations. He lost in round 1 in Mexico. He lost in round 1 in Indian Wells. He lost in round 2. In round 2 in Miami. And then in ATP Houston, he lost in the quarterfinals. But I think he's just really good maybe on clay. So I think seeing him play on clay could be a bit different than I would say his underwhelming performance after his win. And however, I feel like Monfils also is doing really well. I think just him playing, like how he played in his run, I think every time he hits the ball, I think everyone just cheers for him just because of how entertaining and how he's been in the sport for such a long time, and he manages to like just cheer up your day when you're like just having a really bad day and you turn to tennis. If you see him playing, he'll just like bring a smile to your face. So I think everyone just roots for him, and yeah. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is going to be the quarterfinal matchups. So as I said before, there isn't that many good first round matchups, but I have more for both the first half and the second half. If you want to go like subscribe to a newsletter, it's on there. I have Zverev versus Cerundolo for the first quarterfinals. I have him beating Medvedev. I know how he won his first, Medvedev won his clay title, which is an 1,000 title in Rome last year, and everyone was like, huh? Like, it was such a magical run. Nobody suspected it, but it happened, and but he still lost in round 1 of French Open, but I think there's like this weird pressure on him that everyone, I don't think he even puts pressure on himself in clay, but I think there's this weird pressure by the public that he should perform, like he should surprise us again, but I don't think he can do it. Like, not in a bad way, but I feel like I feel like that was just like a rare occurrence. I mean, I'm really glad if he can prove me wrong, but I just don't think he can do it. Anyways, we have Zverev versus Cerundolo. I think Zverev is going to come out on top. And then we have Grigor versus Sinner. Sinner, again, this is going to be a rematch of the Miami Open final. I think Sinner's going to come out on top. So we have Sinner versus Zverev. I think Zverev's going to come out on top. I think Zverev's playing style just suits the courts better. And then the final, we have Zverev versus Sinner. And I said Zverev is going to come out on top, because I just feel like Zverev hasn't won a huge title after he came back, right? And I think not that he deserves one, but I think it's time for him to win one, because he's always competing at a high level constantly. He's never sort of like had a surprising loss. So I think something will happen for him that's going to this could be his chance of getting a Masters title after his comeback. And his playing style, he really plays really well in clay. So I think him coming back and winning the Masters, beating Alcaraz, isn't that unlikely. Because if you really look at his record, he really hasn't had like a surprising loss, except for one, which is in Mexico. He lost to Daniel Altmaier, but it was like still regardless a 3-set match. So yeah. Okay, that's all I have for today. This one is a bit short. Actually, I think, yeah, this one's a bit short, but I hope you guys enjoyed. To be honest, after basically the Indian Wells in Miami, everything was just so chaotic. There was just like so much going on before, and now it's sort of died down, but then we have Monte Carlo again. We just never get a break from tennis, and I love it. But yeah, I think that's all. This one is a tad bit short. It's like hitting the 26-minute mark. Yeah, I mean, it's not that short, but I just really hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, subscribe to my newsletter, follow all of my social medias using Tennis Traverse. That is at Tennis Traverse. And yeah, also, if you guys can comment or just like tell me if this microphone is better, because I changed the microphone and like from what I'm recording, what I'm here, I think it's better, but it might be just because of how I feel. So if you guys have listened to this point, please tell me if the microphone, according to you, is better or not. And yeah, I'll see you guys